I said it before, I like this guy. I don't know a whole lot about him. I don't know if he has a freaking sex dungeon with decapitated puppies in it. No idea. But what he says makes a lot of sense, and obviously other people agree with this perspective of mine. Folks, as always, welcome to the Martial Brothers channel, trying to learn what's happening all over the world in these uncertain times. Is what we try to do here so as to be better prepared. This is the President of Finland, Alexander Stubb, and this is his take on what Europe has to do regarding Ukraine, Russia, US, and Europe relationships.
Perhaps I'll answer through 2 points. I'll answer the question to Vladimir first. I think we need to get our facts right. When you look at support for Ukraine throughout this war, Europe stands, as Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said earlier, at about 134 billion euros, more or less. The United States, roughly around 114 billion. I look around this table and I see NB8, so 5 Nordic countries and 3 Baltic states. We're actually at 26 billion euros, roughly speaking. So that's about a fifth of what Europe has supported. So yes, to a certain extent in the future, we're going to have to take more responsibility, but to get bogged down in who has given more, I think is the wrong tack. The second point I have to make, it's not only about the material support, it's also about having skin in the game or having some kind of a plan. I think Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre put it quite well earlier when he said that we Europeans can't complain our way to the negotiating table. And my worry is that in the past 2 weeks, when we've seen a shift in the transatlantic partnership, and you'll know that I'm an avid transatlanticist, we have to wake up to a new reality. And then the question is, how do we get skin in the game? How do we get involved? I think a good start is what President Costa has done, is to call a European Council, because right now European diplomacy is rather cacophonic. It's all over the place.
Ooh, cacophonic. That's not a word. Dude, third language, Swedish, Finnish, and English, obviously. That's a word you don't often see. I like when people are smart, right? That usually makes things a lot easier. Dumb people can be super dangerous. Smart people can actually find solutions. There's evil, smart bastards out there, but I like some of the things he's saying here. Let's keep on listening.
That's why I have, together with some colleagues, proposed that we sit down and think about a plan. And in my mind, that plan or sketch goes in 3 phases. The first phase is the pre-negotiation. That's where we are right now. This is when we have to think really hard how we put more pressure on Russia and basically how we support Vladimir and Ukraine and what kind of security arrangements we have. And if I may, just as a side note, I'm getting a little bit frustrated about this debate on boots on the ground, because that sort of misses the whole point. That is that the strongest boots on the ground in the world right now are with Ukraine. They have the land forces. Then it's a question about which phase and how Europe will come to support Ukraine. In the air, in the sea, with reconnaissance, with intelligence, etc., etc. The second phase of the plan is when the ceasefire begins. And that's actually quite crucial, because that's when you start looking at the modalities and the agenda of the actual negotiations, and that's when you start looking at confidence-building measures. And then the third phase is the peace process, and that's when you start talking about the big issues of territory, and that's when you start talking basically about recompensation, about justice, which President Zelensky was talking about earlier. So what I'm trying to say is that I think we in Europe, we need to get our act together. And in order to get an act together, you have to have a plan to the Americans, because if you don't have a plan to the Americans, you're not going to get involved in negotiations. And right now the negotiations are happening above our heads without any kind of a plan and strategy. That's why I think this meeting has been extremely important, and that's why I think that the next 2 weeks are crucial also about the future of European security.
I think he pretty much nails it in most things here, or in all things that he just said. Europe needs to stop screwing around and keep crying about, oh, we're not getting this, we're not getting that, US this, US that. Get over it. If US says it doesn't want to get involved, then what is it that you're going to do? Roll over and freaking die? or are you going to do something? If Trump is the kind of person that needs a little bit more encouragement based on your participation, NATO spending, Trump is usually very much a money-focused person. You may like it or not. You may complain about it or not. You can do whatever, but you have to understand things for what they are. If Trump keeps on saying that he's pissed, that you're not spending enough, that you're not buying enough weapons, that you're not doing this, for whatever reason it is, well, you can get upset about it, you can cry about it, or you can maybe do something about it. Maybe one of the things that you should actually do is not about how much money you're being spent, but how many weapons do you have? Do you have enough weapons? Have you built up your military enough? I mean, I know exactly why he says that. I mean, I get it. Now, is he right besides the point of the financial benefits of a world that buys more weapons, you being the largest weapon seller on the planet? Yeah, we do get that. You can make your own weapons, by the way. You can buy from your own industry, which France is actually very good at. But at the end of the day, keep crying and complaining about, oh, look at this, or even what happened right now recently with the meeting there in the White House. It is what it is. At the end of the day, if you're not providing for your own security, you can hardly expect anyone else to do. Oh, but we had agreed. We have this. And NATO says, well, again, it is what it is. This is the reality you have. And God damn it, man, you have the capabilities to protect yourself. You are 10 times bigger economically than Russia. You have more men than Russia. You have more weapons than Russia. And you're just sticking your thumb up your ass and waiting until someone else does things for you. I think it's a very poor strategy. Yeah, I'm not as eloquent here or politically correct with my English as our buddy here, Alexander Stubb, is. Cacophony. But I think he's on the right track. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, especially from the American perspective. Do you think he's right? Do you think he's just he's actually a interesting fella. I was looking him up here in good old Wikipedia. So very Finnish, he's center-right, right? And he was going against the center-left candidate. So he's whatever the right in Finland is. Lance Corporal, so a little bit of military experience there, as most Finnish people will have, if not all of them. I think it's like a mandatory thing. But yeah, I like what he's saying. I think he makes a lot of sense, and he actually structures it in a right way of 3 steps of 3 stages as to move forward. See you later, folks. Take care.